If you've been watching the news out of Israel, you've probably seen the red heifer making headlines again, and some are saying it means the temple is about to be rebuilt and the tribulation is about to start. Is that true? Well, not quite yet. But make no mistake, what's happening is a huge sign we're getting close. Here's what's really going on. In early July, Israel held a practice burn of a red heifer. It wasn't the real thing. The animal was already disqualified for having a couple of black hairs, but the priests went through the full ritual as a rehearsal. That's training, not fulfillment of Numbers 19. Then, in early August, the Temple Institute announced that every current red heifer, including the ones they imported from Texas, is now disqualified. In other words, there is no eligible animal today. Now, before you get discouraged, hear me out. This is still big, because what we're seeing right now is something that hasn't happened in nearly 2,000 years. Israel actively preparing to fulfill the red heifer requirement from Numbers 19 so that temple sacrifices can resume. That's not random. That's stage-setting prophecy in real time. Remember what the Bible says, Numbers 19, 2-3. You shall speak to the sons of Israel that they bring you an unblemished red heifer, in which is no defect, and on which a yoke has never been placed. And you shall give it to Eleazar the priest, and it shall be brought outside the camp, and be slaughtered in his presence. The ashes from that sacrifice were used to purify priests and the temple itself for service. And Hebrews 9:13-14 tells us the bigger picture. For if the blood of goats and bulls, and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling those who have been defiled, sanctify for the cleansing of the flesh, how much more will the blood of Christ cleanse your conscience from dead works to serve the living God? The red heifer was always pointing to Jesus. But in prophecy, it's also tied to Israel's readiness for worship in the coming temple. Here's why it matters right now. Daniel 9:27 says the Antichrist will confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, 7 years, and in the middle of that week, he'll stop sacrifices and set up the abomination of desolation. That means by the midpoint of the tribulation, temple sacrifices will already be happening, and they can't happen until the red heifer requirement is fulfilled. So yes, this isn't just random Jewish tradition. This is a necessary step toward what the Bible says will happen in the tribulation. The fact that they're training priests, building vessels, and rehearsing the ritual means the gun is loaded. The moment they have a perfect animal and the political clearance to use the Mount of Olives, they could have purification water ready in days, and temple service could start almost immediately. And here's where the rapture comes in. The Bible doesn't say the rapture waits for the red heifer or the temple. It's signless and can happen at any moment. Matthew 24:36. But what we're seeing now is the setup for the events that follow the rapture: the covenant, the tribulation, and the midpoint abomination. When you see the stage being set for those, you know the curtain for the church's exit is about to rise. So don't lose your excitement. This is exactly what we'd expect to see as the tribulation gets closer. And that means the rapture is even closer. We're not waiting for ashes to be ready before Jesus calls us home, but the fact they're working this hard to prepare them should light a fire under us. Here's the takeaway. This isn't the fulfillment yet, but it's a loud, clear sign that we're right on the edge. So keep your eyes up. Keep your heart clean. Share the gospel while there's still time. Because if they're this close to the red heifer, we're even closer to hearing the trumpet. We're not chasing cows, we're watching Christ. And he's coming soon,